Good evening, I'm Farhana Sheikh. Our top stories for tonight: Beijing lifts some levies on US farm goods, and Zohran Mamdani elected as New York mayor in historic win. All that and more coming up on AWANI International. Our top story for tonight: China has confirmed it will suspend retaliatory tariffs on US imports following last week's meeting between President Xi Jinping and President Donald Trump. The move includes lifting levies of up to 15% on farm goods, although imports of US soybeans will still face a 13% tariff.
The State Council's Tariff Commission said it would also maintain 10% tariffs imposed in response to Trump's Liberation Day duties. China has largely avoided buying U.S. crops from its autumn harvest because of high tariffs, costing American farmers billions of dollars in losses. Following Trump and Xi's meeting, the White House said China agreed to purchase at least 12 million metric tons of U.S. soybeans in the final 2 months of the year. It would also continue buying at least 25 million tons annually over the next 3 years. Beijing has yet to confirm those figures as Chinese importers continue to favor Brazilian soybeans, seen as a cheaper and more reliable source.
Zohran Mamdani has won the race to lead New York as mayor, capping a heated contest that drew global attention. The 34-year-old now becomes the first Muslim, the first of South Asian heritage, and the youngest person to lead America's largest city. Mamdani, a self-described democratic socialist, campaigned on affordability, promising to raise taxes on corporations and the wealthy, freeze rents, and make childcare free.
For as long as we can remember, the working people of New York have been told by the wealthy and the well-connected that power does not belong in their hands. Tonight, against all odds, we have grasped it. The future is in our hands. My friends, we have toppled a political dynasty.
The race pitted Mamdani against Andrew Cuomo, the 67-year-old former New York governor, in what many see as a test of the Democratic Party's future. Cuomo, long viewed as the face of the party establishment, drew support from some of New York's wealthiest donors, including Republicans and major corporations, but was ultimately handed a decisive defeat. In his victory speech, Mamdani took aim at President Donald Trump, declaring that New York remains a city of immigrants.
New York will remain a city of immigrants, a city built by immigrants, powered by immigrants, and as of tonight, led by an immigrant.
Trump reacted to Mamdani's win, blaming the Republican Party's weak showing on his absence from the ballot and the political fallout from recent government shutdowns. Mamdani's historic win came amid a wave of Democratic victories across the United States, building momentum into the 2026 midterms. Virginia elected its first female governor, Abigail Spanberger, while Mickey Sherrill beat her Trump-backed opponent in New Jersey. And in California, voters backed Governor Gavin Newsom's redistricting plan, a move expected to create 5 additional Democratic seats in Congress, signaling broader momentum for the party nationwide. That's our top news. Stay with us for more after this break.
Di dalam setiap berita yang dibawa, konteks amat penting. Kami sentiasa membawakan yang tergempar dan terkini. Pastikan Astro AWANI menjadi pilihan anda, tidak kira di mana sahaja anda berada.
Welcome back. Sudan has called for international action to halt weapons reaching the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces (RSF). Speaking in Kuala Lumpur, Sudanese ambassador to Malaysia, Hassan Abdul Salam Omar, condemned what he called a campaign of extermination and terror by the RSF in Al Fasher and urged the group to be officially designated as a terrorist organization.
Al-Fashir, the capital of North Darfur, is unspeakable. A tragedy beyond horror. It is not only a city takeover within a civil war or a mere struggle for power between two factions, as some naive and simplistic Western outlets have portrayed. Rather, it is a systemic campaign of extermination and terror perpetrated by the so-called Rapid Support Force, RSF. So the question, what we want, what Sudan would like to call really on all peace-loving people and governments to look into this and to designate the RSF as a terrorist organization, because it is truly a terrorist organization.
He went on to claim that the RSF's actions have been fueled by external support and warned that lasting peace cannot be achieved while militias act as proxies for foreign powers.
Let me be clear. These crimes are not committed by RSF alone. Credible evidence, including eyewitnesses, testimonies, intercepted shipments, intelligence reports, point to the sustained flow of weapon, ammunition, and logistic support from what we think we used to call our brothers, basically from the United Arab Emirates. Merely an interference. It is an invasion by proxy. The moment the United Arab, and I will say it loudly, the moment the United Arab Emirates stop their support to the militia, the war in Sudan is going to stop the next day. The next day, the war in Sudan is going to stop. And I would like also to take the opportunity to reaffirm Sudan's unwavering commitment to peace. Peace that preserves the nation's sovereignty, unity, and dignity of its people. But peace cannot be achieved, as I said earlier, with a militia of warlords serving as a proxy for foreign powers.
On Tuesday, the Sudanese government said its army will continue its fight against the RSF despite a proposed ceasefire put forward by the United States. The White House confirmed that Washington remains actively involved in diplomatic efforts to end the conflict alongside Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates.
Sudan is looking to Malaysia for a bigger role in its future, naming the country a trusted and strategic partner in the nation's reconstruction. Ambassador to Malaysia, Hassan Abdul Salam Omar, also expressed gratitude for Malaysia's solidarity amid the conflict in Al Fasher and thanked the government for their strong condemnation of the RSF.
If you are asking about Malaysia, Malaysia is the leading country in our Islamic Ummah, and we are really looking for a bigger role to Malaysia. Because, as you may know, it's not a secret, Sudan trusts Malaysia very much. Malaysia has no ulterior motive or any agenda. So it is a very good candidate to play an excellent role in Sudan. We always look for Malaysia as a strategic partner for the rebuilding of the country soon, immediately when things go back to normal. And I'm really thrilled by the wide embassy and sympathy and support we felt during the last few days from the Malaysian public and Malaysian grassroots organization. Thank you, Malaysia.
The U.S. government shutdown has entered its 36th day, marking the longest period in American history that the government has been closed. Democrats and Republicans have remained deadlocked for weeks over a funding deal, though the Senate's top Republican, John Thune, says a possible breakthrough could be on the horizon ahead of the Thanksgiving holidays on November 27th.
The shutdown, which began on October 1st, was triggered by Congress's inability to agree on a new funding legislation. It has left government workers without pay and millions of Americans without essential services, sparking growing concerns over disruptions to air travel nationwide. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy warned that some areas of U.S. airspace might have to be closed if the shutdown continued. More than 13,000 air traffic controllers are currently working without pay. The previous record shutdown lasted 35 days during President Donald Trump's first term in 2019.
The population in Gaza is set to face another harsh winter, with nearly all of its 2.3 million residents still living in tents. Humanitarian agencies say far too little aid is reaching the Strip nearly 4 weeks after the ceasefire took effect.
According to the World Food Programme, only half of the required food supplies have been entering the enclave, where famine was confirmed in August. Israel says it is fulfilling its obligations under the truce, which calls for an average of 600 trucks of supplies to enter Gaza each day. It continues to blame Hamas for any food shortages, accusing them of stealing aid before it is distributed, a claim the group denies. Gaza's local administration, meanwhile, said only 145 trucks a day have been delivering supplies, with many failing to reach their destinations due to Israeli restrictions. The UN Humanitarian Affairs Agency reported that a continuing lack of fuel is also hampering nutrition efforts, with more than 60% of Gazans now cooking using burning waste, posing serious health risks.
Global oil markets remain stable for now, but the risk of oversupply is looming. The CEO of Swiss commodities trader Gunvor Group says US and European sanctions on Russian and Iranian oil have left huge volumes stored on tankers, keeping a potential supply glut from hitting the market if sanctions are removed. CEO Torbjorn Tonvis, speaking at the ADIPEC Energy Conference in Abu Dhabi, warned that if those restrictions were lifted, the world could suddenly see too much oil, pushing prices down. The US, UK and EU have imposed sweeping sanctions on Moscow over its war in Ukraine, with Washington's latest targeting Russian oil giants Rosneft and Lukoil. Global oil prices fell for a third month in October on oversupply fears, as OPEC and non-OPEC producers continued to boost output. Marco Dunon, CEO of Mercuria, another major global oil trading firm, warned global oil supply could soon outpace demand by as much as 2 million barrels a day next year. But he said Western sanctions are still playing a big role in limiting how much oil actually reaches the market. Swiss-based Gunvor, one of the world's largest energy traders, made its name in the 2000s as a leading dealer of Russian oil and has benefited from the post-Ukraine war price surge. That concludes AWANI International for tonight. Stay with us as we track the strategies and power shifts shaping the new global order. For more updates, visit international.astroawani.com and follow us on our social media. I'm Farhana Sheikh. Thank you for watching and good night.